Okay, so um, there's very strange parallels to the way our world is going and the way the world went in Stephen King's Dark Tower books. So I often look to see, and I can't help but see parallels. In Stephen King's Dark Tower, before the gunslinger, long before he came on the scene, there was a very advanced civilization, at least as technologically advanced as ours, and it eventually fell because the people who were so technologically advanced didn't care about pollution, and they created bioweapons, nuclear weapons, every kind of weapon imaginable. And what happened was the people became sterile. They could not reproduce anymore. They could not make babies. And they died off. And the only thing that was left was their technology. Some of it was very long lived, nuclear powered. And after a great, long, maybe thousands of years, there was a new civilization which was pretty primitive. It was, I think they used artifacts that they had found from the previous civilization. And there were still things. Anyway, you can read the Dark Tower books and learn all about it. But why I say that here is because our civilization is a dystopia. It's the opposite of a utopia. Everything about our civilization is based upon technology, and the technology is so beyond the user that, well, I'll give you an example. Today, I went to burn an audio CD, and I used a fairly old computer to do it, and it wouldn't work. Now, people are wondering, why do you want an audio CD? Well, the car I drive has got an old CD player, and I just had a CD I wanted to. So I went and I found the blank CDs. You can still get them. They are not cheap, but I got some, and lo and behold, I tried the built-in Windows program, and I tried two other programs off the internet, and none of them would work. I cannot burn a CD. That was such a simple thing to do 20 years ago. You can't do it anymore. The technology has just, it seems like the apps are garbage. They just keep crashing. Everything keeps crashing. Everything keeps breaking. So, another example is I was using SoundCloud. I was recording using my phone when I was singing karaoke, and now I can't upload it. Every time I try to upload to SoundCloud, the app crashes, and I've sent them two emails about it, and they don't bother to respond. So this is the state of our society. We use the technology, but it doesn't serve us. It's constantly breaking. Um, it's just one thing after another. If you call, I was calling to get my internet broadband speed increased, and the person on the other end of the phone decided that he didn't want to help me, and he said, "Well, you're in an old plan, and I don't know how to fix it." So the humans are trapped. I mean, do we want to go back to running farms on horse and buggy? I think it would be a good idea. I think it would be a very good idea because the reliance on technology has got. I mean, this phone that I'm using, if it breaks, I can't fix it. Um, I can't fix anything anymore. My headlight burned out, and in the olden days, not that long ago, on the old car, I would go in and change it. I would change the bulb. But in this car, I was going to do that, but when I went to look at it, I couldn't see where the bulb was attached. It was buried down and under. So a simple thing like a bulb, and I'm feeling around there. My hand's getting all covered in grease, and you know that those things have got little plastic clippy things. But if you can't see the way it's set up, you're just as likely to snap the thing off and break it, and then it's going to cost you even more money. So the bill to change the headlight bulb was $75 to have it done at the shop. In the old days, I would have paid $20 and done it myself, but I can't see to do it. So the technology, it's built so that you can't fix it yourself. I mean, that's a manufacturer's defect. In the olden days, there was room. You could work around an engine. It didn't have all this electronic stuff that's supposed to be energy efficient, but is it that much energy efficient? No. The cars burn lots of gas. It's a pile of bullshit. And people get on the bandwagon. We have to protect the environment. And well, I know the emissions were very bad in the 1970s, and these cars are much better at that. But you know, and then I wonder how they did it. Back in the days of horse and buggies. I think of London, England, and you think, well, in the olden days, they had to bring all the food in from the farmers' fields outside of town to this enormous metropolis. And it must, a horse doesn't go very fast, and they're not galloping. They're just, I don't know what you call it, trotting. Maybe it's not even trotting, it's just walking along. And they'd have to get up at the middle of the night and then travel all day to get to the evening market or something. And then they'd have to go home in the dark. You got to think of how much food you'd need for a large city like London. And then you've got to think of how fast you can move based on horse and buggy. And you got to think of how much land you have to grow food for the people. And then you got to think of the amount of time that it takes to grow a crop of food. I'm going to look at it all. I say, I can't believe that they managed to feed London. Maybe they brought a lot of food in by sailing ship from some other area that had a lot of food. I suppose that's possible. Maybe that's more probable. It's just hard to figure it out, horse and buggy, how they did it. But if you went back to horse and buggy, well, you'd have to go and learn animal husbandry all over again. You'd have to learn um, carpentry without power tools, which takes way, way more time to build anything if you don't have power tools. But why would you get rid of the power tools? Well, at least when you're using hand tools, you're not dependent upon the technology. I mean, a blacksmith could make an axe, and a lot of these little hand tools would last a very long time. But in a modern day, I mean, there's not even a blacksmith in my city, so no one makes this stuff. Well, it's not quite true. There is a reproduction of late 1800s fort near my city, and there they do use the old ways. Everything is done in the old ways: horse and buggy, ox cart, blacksmith. Everything is done without power for the public. Behind the scenes, the offices are all electrified. People have computers, of course. But are we going to go to a point where the civilization is going to fail? I think so. I think so, because nothing can be fixed. Everything is thrown away. And North America, we're relying on these smartphones that are made somewhere in Asia, no one knows where, and we can't fix them. So if we have a trade war with China and they decide, well, they're not going to send us any more of these smartphones or any more internet routers or anything, nothing is made in North America anymore. We've been sold out, sound down the river. In the even as late as like the 1970s, this stuff was all made in North America, all the parts for stuff. So it wasn't a big deal. But now that the parts aren't made here anymore, that's all it's going to take is a trade war, or the prices will go up so high that we can't afford it, which is pretty much the way it's gone. So, I mean, technology, I think of my gas furnace. And in the old days, the previous furnace to this one, there was a pilot light. So what would happen was that the furnace would come on and off based on the temperature sensor. And I don't think it had to have electricity. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it did need a small amount of current to run the thermostat. But you see, the problem is, I'm thinking if we lose electricity, then the modern furnace, it's an electronic ignition. If you lose electricity, you lose your gas furnace. So there's no heat and there's no electricity. You're fucked. You're fucked. There's nothing you can do. So um, do you want to go? I guess you could go and ask an Amish person to take you on his farm as a farmhand and learn how they do it. Old Order Mennonites. And that would be a good place to learn. The problem for those people is going to be is when all the city folk lose all their food because there's, a technological problem, they don't have anything, they're going to come looking for food and they're going to be raiding these farms. So there's no protection. There's nothing you can do. I mean, you could be armed to the teeth, but you're going to run out of ammunition. We're very interdependent, but we've got so far away from being on the land that uh, how we would survive a technological catastrophe, I can't see how we could. It's going to be the end, and people are just going to starve to death. It's going to be horrible. Now, the alternative to it all, I guess you could rely on extraterrestrials if they're real and if they're advanced. Maybe they'll come and, you know, bring you their technology or something. Now, something very far out would be the idea that you could instantly manifest things as if you were God. So if why do I say that? Because some people on the internet are saying that that's what humans are kind of come to. We're going to start gaining spiritual powers to make things manifest for us out of thin air. It's just a topic. Do I see things manifesting out of thin air? Well, strangely enough, not so much, but I do see things disappear. It's like when you put something at a certain place in your house, and then the next day it's gone and no one's touched it. I suppose I've gone way over my time limit. I was trying to keep it down to 10 minutes. But that's your update. I'm Bob Frizzell.